This video is going to be kind of a rant slash word of common sense. Let me explain. Right now, I think the fandom is at a crossroads. We've got competing rumors about Kennedy going on, one of which I believe is substantiated by what the press is saying. The other is, I think, wishful thinking by people who don't really want her to leave because she's money to them. Her presence in Star Wars is, when you feed public rage, it's no different than CNN, Fox News, neither of which I watch anymore because you're not getting it. I mean, Babylon Bee is more honest, has more integrity. You can't have it both ways. At the end of the day, she either gets a contract extension or doesn't. It'll either be a short one to finish Indy 5, because I don't think it's going to be finished by mid-October, or she gets a contract extension, whatever, or she doesn't. Now, I don't believe any of the things I've heard in the rumor that has been couched as the truth. I've had trolls come at me basically acting like it was reported on ABC News. Then you have the people who want to believe it basically saying, well, Hollywood is this way and blah, 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 and they don't care, and hey, Matt Piranha. And it's like, how do you know? Here's the deal. And I've said this before and I'll say this again, but I'm going to push this and push this and push this. Hey, Santa Dave, and push this till people understand. If you haven't been in an industry for over almost 10 years, you're not an expert. Okay, you're not. I haven't been in DC working in 20 years. Okay? It'll be 20 next year. Okay? Because I did 1 year with the administration, and then, I left to get married. I can't speak with any legitimate knowledge about what's going on Capitol Hill right now. All I know is that it's chaos. Now, if I call my our congressman's chief of staff, is a personal friend of mine, and talk to her about it, I'd probably get some good information. But I'm not going to do that. It's not where I'm at anymore. Okay? I can only do what a regular citizen does and stare at it from the outside looking in. Okay? What you have here are people, hey, Mexican Iron Man. Oh yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree with that, Mike. You've got people who left Hollywood almost a decade ago, influencing the way people think about it presently. Industries change. People come and go. All right? That's the rule. All right? I don't think, and I haven't looked, but I don't think anybody from Dick Armey's staff, my boss, is still on Capitol Hill anymore. Okay? Things change. Companies change. Disney is not the same company it was in 2018. They can't be. COVID and all this bullshit have changed the rules. So you can't sit there and say this is happening and this is happening. No, it's not. You don't know that because you're getting this from somebody who's maybe saw it, but even when they were in the position they were in, they were still on the outside looking in and ignoring people who are actually in the business, ignoring the uh, the financial ramifications of Kennedy's poor decision making. You can sit there and say the powers that be in Hollywood don't care if they make things that sell, but they're not the ones in power. They get money from it. They make sure they're paid. Here's a question. Who do you think puts the money up for this? The corporations don't. It's the hedge funds. They're the ones that fund the movies. They're the ones that expect a return on their investment. All right? And that's Chapek's biggest worry. He is responsible to the investors and to the fans, to the customers. He's dealing with people who don't realize that that's always been the rule, because they've been allowed to run around like chickens with their heads cut off, making their little versions of Triumph of the Will and Battleship Potemkin ad nauseum for almost a decade. And he's ending it. You have to admit that's going on. You have to be intellectually honest about this. When you've got, and this is the thing that really makes me mad, you've got nothing in, and I'm going to say it, Forbes, a magazine a venerable magazine. I've met Steve Forbes. Boring guy, but a nice guy. Variety, venerable trade publication. Business Insider, from the left. Inc., and The Atlantic, all saying the complete opposite of what this rumor is saying. Okay? I'm going to address the people who think that she's the most powerful woman in Hollywood, and that they don't. All right, Ann Sarnoff is. Oprah Winfrey is. Barbara Streisand still pretty much is the queen bee of Hollywood. I can name several others. Kathy Kennedy is a mythology. There's been a mythology created around her by people who don't know history, by people who, it's a narcissistic need for people to actually validate themselves through this person, and they make up stories about them. Kennedy is that person, and she's made up her own mythology too. She actually really believes it. She is not the first anything in Hollywood. And you're gonna have to start understanding that, okay? The shine has come off the shiny object. It's not shiny anymore. The emperor has no clothes. Okay? Fact. You can't assume that they didn't notice the reaction to Gina's publicly being told that they weren't going to bring her back. You think that Bob Chapek didn't notice that? The Academy Award channel got bombarded with that. That video she had got ratioed into another dimension. The comments were, holy shit. And you don't think they notice that, and you don't think they care. They care a great deal. They have to. Okay? That's the thing. You have to acknowledge all this stuff and understand that the people you think are in control, that were in control in 2012, 2015, they're not either there anymore, they're leaving, or their power has been diminished. Let's talk about Alex Kurtzman. Yeah, he got a contract extension. A lot of them. But if you look at what the parameters are, he's pretty much not really allowed to touch anything. You look at his extension compared to South Park. They got, I'll round up, $1 billion. $1 billion. Do you see what's going on here? The people who aren't woke are actually getting more traction now. All right? The woke are starting to fade away. Now let's talk about the other thing. Wiley Coyote, the Phantom Menace. Go on YouTube when I'm done and go turn on the Family Guy short where Wiley Coyote actually catches the Roadrunner. And then, kills him. He and his buddy are eating. And all of a sudden, his buddy goes, so what are you going to do now? Wiley loses his reason to exist. Okay. There are people in the fandom who want the Sutton rumor that was never couched as a rumor, so everybody's running around with it like it's God's truth. They want the rumor to be true because they have something to hate. Tell you a story, and this came from a movie called Conspiracy. There was a guy who absolutely hated his father. Loved his mother, hated his father. Father was abusive. His father did all kinds of really nasty things to him. Father died. The guy wept uncontrollably. Mother died. He didn't weep. Hey, Jeremy, here's the deal. You care more about what you hate than you do about what you love. Okay? That's sad. And no one should be building up a media empire, even on YouTube, for that reason. I can go and rant about Kennedy. I can go and rant about this and rant about that. Hail, Space Windu. And Jeremy. But I'm going to say this. I am not wasting my time on her. Oh, I know. I mean, that's the thing, is that there are people who shall remain nameless that were screaming about her being mentioned and Favreau saying nice. No, I mean, and you're right, Mexican Iron Man. If you look for something to hate, you're going to have a miserable life, okay? This is why I've distanced myself from the fanboy rage porn channels. I don't like people who perpetuate a problem. All right? It has to be fixed. And to the people who want to see Disney burn, you really want to see hundreds of thousands of Americans out of work? Would that make you happy? I'm not really impressed with that attitude, okay? Disney is changing because, like I said, corporations change. Corporations are made of people, all right? And I do remember a long time ago I talked about that poem, The Indispensable Man. Dwight Eisenhower was going to Europe on the Queen Mary to go to the D-Day 10-year anniversary. And he was being feted from one end of the ship to the other. And he was upset. He was upset because they were treating him like he was the one that won the battle. That if it wasn't for him, it would never would have worked. There's a poem called The Indispensable Man. And it's about basically, remember, yeah, we have to. But let me finish. It was about, don't think yourself indispensable. Don't believe that no one can replace you. That's what corporations are. That's what the U.S. military is. 10 years ago, back in 2011, we had a far different Joint Chiefs of Staff. All the guys that are there now were colonels. Okay? All the guys there with their 4 stars were colonels at one time. And, doing other things. Now they're the ones in charge. They're not doing a good job either, by the way. They're doing a lousy job. And they shall resign. Things, people come and go. Whether it be at Disney or in the movie business. You look at the long lens. The motion picture camera is over 100 years old now. There have been women involved with the movie business and film industry since the motion picture camera was invented. There were women during the very early era who ran their own studios. So again, Kathleen Kennedy's mythology is hers and hers alone. It has nothing to do with reality in history, despite what some people say, is undeniable. You're right. Let me explain. Kentuck Sensei, Dan, my friend, is very right. China is about this close to kicking Disney out, in my opinion. Or Disney's as close to saying, fuck you, we're done. They need to make money. You're not going to make money in the United States by sending woke shit out there. And it's very, very interesting watching this all happen. But the name of the game is to make money. And Walt Disney knew how to do that by giving the audience what they wanted. Lovely, family-oriented, kind of corny, cheesy stuff. Okay? I don't want cheesy. I don't think for it to be a decent programming, it has to be corny. Like Little House on the Prairie, which was like, and with Iger leaving in December and basically looking like he's stepping back again, because it feels like it now, and I'm pretty sure he is, that it's what we're witnessing is a change of guard. We've got Alan Horn being replaced by Alan Bergman. They're looking for a new PR person and all the rest of the stuff. I'm very, very upset, though, that we have to sit here and have a battle of competing rumors. I am not giving anybody, I don't care who he is, who or she is, I am not giving them any kudos from, making up a story. I don't know where this thing came from. I don't have those connections. Nobody I know believes a word of it. Because again, you got to measure it against what we know that is in the public. And what we know, what the trades have been saying, what the financial trades have been saying, what the cultural trades, Atlantic, have been saying, is a direct opposite of what Sutton put out there. Did he even consider that? I don't know. I don't think so. Are the people that are agreeing with him even considering that? No. Again, if Kennedy isn't there, Wiley Coyote, the Roadrunner, is no longer there, what are they going to bitch about? Do you see where I'm going? There's money involved for some of these big channels too. All right? And that's a big thing. We could wake up in tomorrow morning, get around 3 p.m. Eastern time, and have it announced that at the end, when Indiana Jones 5 wraps, Kathleen Kennedy is announcing her resignation, and they could put it out there. These channels would start looking for a new reason to hate Disney Star Wars. They have to. How else are they going to perpetuate subscribers and AdSense? All right? I don't expect I don't expect that business model to change. I really, really don't. Now, there's a lot of understanding there. You're right, Ron. There's a lot of understanding there where you make money. If it bleeds, it leads. Example: a nameless person went in to see the Last Jedi, liked it, got back, sat down, turned on his YouTube channel, and realized everybody else hated it. Little light bulb over his head. If I change my attitude, I'm going to get more subscribers. That happened and that happened. Okay. It's phony. Okay. You monetize someone's rage. That's good. I don't care. I'm a capitalist. But don't sit there and tell me that you care about the culture. Let me explain why I'm involved. If we take back the culture, we take back everything. Culture is upstream from politics, right? That's a fact of life. There was a reason back in the mid 30s that I think it was the mid 30s, maybe Dan can correct me, that they instituted what they called the Hayes Act, and basically there were, oh God, what do they call it? Shit, I forget. But they instituted rules to keep movies from being too risque and all the rest of that stuff. And because if you look at some of the movies that came out in the silent era, like Theda Bara and all the rest of that, holy shit is all I can say. Dracula was made before that those rules were in place. There's a very interesting guy who was part of that committee, Irving Thalberg. Irving Thalberg died very, very young. He was 38 years old. But he was literally one of the greatest movie producers, movie executives that ever lived. The Thalberg Humanitarian Award is dedicated to him. He made a huge impact on the movies, okay? We have to understand that there comes a point where people are saying enough is enough. They've got, all right, I'll give you an example. There are people out there, SJWs, who want a sex scene in Star Wars. And then they'll turn around and scream at us, Star Wars is for kids. Which is it? You can't have it both ways. Or maybe you want it in there so the kids see it. All right? All right, you can't have it both ways. Do we want it pre-code or post-code? I mean, that's a thing. You can't have it both ways. We've got people who want Solo 2 to be made. They thought Kevin Feige's, the movie he's been working on, it's very, very, I love it, early stage development. Yeah, you're right, H Boomer. In very early stage development. They all wanted it and thought it would be the sequel to Solo. And he basically said, no, it's not. And you're right. Look, we've got a bunch of people right now that aren't helping Disney make money who have been wandering around making very bad Star Wars. I mean, I'm going to give you an example. Claudia Gray. She's obsessed with human sexuality to the point where in her last book, Into the Darkness, her character, Leox Giassi or Gayassi or whatever the hell she calls him, is an asexual gay man. All right. Asexuality is not a state of being. It is a state of reproduction. So, is he chaste or is he celibate? Because he can't be asexual, or he would be a one-celled organism or an amphibian, all right, or maybe a hut. But he's not a human, okay? Because humans are mammals. Mammals don't. Mammals are not built like that. That's not our biology. Very weird woman. Okay, she's got that in her young adult book. Why don't you think about that? Why don't you think about that? Because I am literally like, I don't want my kids reading this shit. I would tell her to her face, she is a problem. This is all a problem for Disney. Now, Marvel, yeah, the war for the soul of Disney right now is going through Marvel. And this, basically, I think our culture is going through Marvel. They're trying to force Scarlett Johansson into arbitration. She was stupid to allow herself to be used this way. Because Brian Lord, Carrie, what the hell were you thinking? And that idiot Kevin Feige, they're the ones behind this. Why? Because Bob Chapek is a threat to them. Now, why haven't we seen anything bad out there about Bob Chapek? They don't know him. They don't have anything bad on him. As Cameron Pasha said, if there was anything bad about him, they would have already put it out there. All right? Well, it's because, all right, here's the deal. The war for Lucasfilm is over. And if you read the Atlantic article, and this is the thing that really drove me crazy, we were told yesterday that we needed them to publicly say they are looking for her replacement. That is old school thinking. Not again, realizing things have changed. They already said who's replacing Kennedy. The Atlantic article pointed its finger at Jon Favreau. All right? When the thing on Disney Plus, the Disney Gallery thing, with Favreau and Filoni talking about Luke coming back in The Mandalorian, I'm going to say something. That was presented as Jon Favreau being the boss and Dave Filoni being the boss, not Kennedy. She's mentioned pleasantly. You see a picture of her on a set, which was not the set that Mark Hamill showed up on. But there you go. Okay. She's leaving. You can tell she's leaving. You can feel it in the air. All right. This time, it's different this time. See, and this is the difference. We didn't have an Atlantic article come out. We didn't have Variety. We didn't have Forbes. Forbes, of all the publications, coming to Gina Carano's defense. You know, we didn't have that. Now we do. And yet there are people that, and then even if she leaves, there are people that are so dismal that they think Star Wars is dead regardless. And I look at them and say, just because you're not getting your pure EU verbatim doesn't make it dead. All right? You know, again, even if they were, because I believe that they are incorporating more of the EU into the Favreau Filoni verse, they have to because it's popular. You're not going to get every one of those novels verbatim, and personally I wouldn't want it. The reason why is because there were just some real stinkers in there. Okay, I'm honest enough to admit that. Chewie being killed by a moon, or whatever that was bullshit. Anakin Solo being murdered, or being killed. That was bullshit. I mean, there are people out there that think that was great. Poor writing. Poor writing. Chewie sacrifices himself for Anakin Solo, then Anakin dies. Okay? There are better ways to present those characters. And I think we're probably going to see a few of them. Just my opinion. But the thing about it is, again, I'm going to go back to the Wiley Coyote analogy. If Wiley ever caught the Roadrunner, what would he do? What would he do when all is said and done? Go after another Roadrunner? What if there isn't one? Will, Kennedy leaves, and will they... Oh, you're right. Oh, you're right about that. Well, that's fine for Japan, but their writing is a lot different than ours. You're talking about apples and oranges. You couldn't do this show verbatim. You'd have to do it streaming, and it would have to be a very long miniseries. All right? Oh, and you're right, Bill. I mean, you could have, I think, the Heir to the Empire trilogy very easily. All right. But there are other ones. Like, there was one that was, excuse me, I gotta do this again. There was one that really just absolutely I thought would be a great show called Honor Among Thieves. And it's about this spy that Han Solo has to ferry around. It's between Empire and A New Hope. And they get to a point where they find out there's something really bad about to go down. And Leia's in the middle of it. So then he's like, well, we're going to go get the princess out of there and warn them. And it's a really good story, and I think it would be a great animated show. And I'm going to say this. I don't think they're going to ever replace the characters as in live action. I think we're going to get deep fakes. I think it worked out so well, all right, that we're not going to have to worry about awful air and yuck again. But again, my thing is we got to stop doing competing rumors. It doesn't help the cause. And people who honestly want to believe that the Sutton thing is real should have asked him, did you not acknowledge what we know in public? I don't think he'd have an answer for that. I really, really don't. It reads like Cameron said, it reads like that Reddit leak. It really, really does. And I really honestly, when I look at Bob Chapek, and even the reasons why they keep her is a rationalization. And it doesn't make any sense. Why would you fashion a contract like that? First off, there's only one movie, and it barely limped across the $1 billion line. And that was The Rise of Skywalker. If it even made $1 billion. I mean, I would like to see the box office for real, because I bet you it didn't make it. I'll bet you $1,000 it didn't. Rise of Skywalker didn't make $1 billion. Because I'm pretty sure it didn't make money. No one went to see that movie. I mean, they can say, well, it got hurt by piracy. You're not getting any of my money. Because that was trash. That was absolute fucking trash. I mean, and it was made by people who don't know what the fuck they're doing. Now we got Marvel. Kevin Feige, look down the road. Shang-Chi's not going to make any money. The Eternals probably won't make any money, especially when Ghostbusters Afterlife is coming out, and the people who got to see it at CinemaCon were blown away by how good it was. So, and then we got Top Gun 2 coming out. Well, once the governments give up this idea that they can lock everybody down perpetually, People go back to the movies. There are people out there that are going to be afraid, and I'm not. I mean, I was going to movies last summer when they opened up the theaters. Oh, I think the new Eastwood movie will be great. I really, really do. Anyway, I guess my thing is there's no proof this Sutton's right, but there is legit evidence. It's not direct evidence, but there is legit evidence that these other rumors are right. And even if Kennedy does get a short contract extension, that doesn't mean she's going to stay. Now, the usual suspects, and I can name them, and you all know who I'm talking about, will lose their shit because they won't look at the actual story. That's their prerogative. But at the end of the day, if she's got a 6-month extension, she's still gone. This is what I think is going to happen. I'm theorizing this. They will announce a short extension and then her retirement or her leaving to go do something else or maybe going to another part of Disney. Look, and I'm going to tell you something, because Children of Blood and Bones hasn't been touched, and it looks to me like Acolyte is barely being really developed, that she'll take them with her. She will take them with her. And Rogue Squadron is set to begin, is set to come out in 2023. I don't think they'll make that movie. I don't. I really, really don't. I don't see the reason for it. But anyway, I've been on for a half hour, and Doomcock is going to have another video up pretty soon with more information. Again, with grain of salt. Hey Nicole, when I do it, I say the same thing. When Andre does it at Midnight's Edge, he does the same thing. Somehow, there are those of us who have to literally prove ourselves to people. Meanwhile, there are others who can say whatever they want and are given full space to say it and are considered the truth tellers of the fandom. And we all know who they are. I'm like, look, I've known a lot of reporters in my life. I had a good friend who was a cameraman at ABC. In the White House. I met Ann Compton. I met the guys at Fox News. Everybody was at the White House back then. You cannot post or write a story based on nothing but hearsay evidence and rumor and say it's real. Okay? That is unethical. Okay? So, I'm going to rock. I gotta go someplace. I gotta go get the dog some food, and gonna grab some lunch. Keep your eyes open for the Doomcock thing, and remember, this is a battle of competing rumors, and it does matter if she's still there. It does matter if she's still there. All right, this is Steph, signing out. See you around the galaxy.